Hi, everybody. Welcome to another Prog Report monthly reaction video. We are in August 2024, and back with me is my good friend Kyle Fagla. How you doing, man?
Hey, how's it going, Roy? Good to see you.
Good. It's been a weird month. We've been doing Progist every day this month. We've been following. We've putting out these YouTube videos every single day. We're getting now towards the end of the month. It's the final week of August as we're doing this. I've been away. Other people have been away. It's been sort of a weird month. We also did a Van Halen Wheel of Prog episode, which dropped a few weeks ago and did a lot better than I think we thought it would do on our channel. People are
Well,
really big Van Halen fans, so that was a lot of
and
fun.
apparently we don't know anything about the band according to the
That's
comments.
right.
So
That's right. If you haven't seen that, watch that. It's a lot of fun. And I think we're going to do some other ones. I want to do a bunch of different bands. I want to do like Kiss and Deep Purple and
yeah, why not?
whoever, and just have some fun with it. So anyway,
Yeah.
but there's been a lot of music that has come out in the last just 2 weeks. Really, like a bunch of new singles and a bunch of albums that have come out. So let's go ahead and dive right in, including we'll give one more shout out to your band's album, Echoverse
Yeah,
Whispers Between Worlds. Is that am I saying that right?
that
And
is right. I just got stickers
and
in. So
very
anyway,
cool.
yeah.
Anyway, Kyle and our other Kyle Graves, who's the singer, put out a great new album. We've talked about it before on the channel, but I want to give them another shout out. Check them out on Spotify and Apple Music
Yeah,
and all that
Spotify,
stuff.
Apple
It's out there.
Music, Amazon Music. You can buy it on Bandcamp. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
Yes.
It's been a rough one.
So, yeah. Anyway, let's dive right into the first track here.
What do you have on the menu?
And all right, so this is one that I think we've all been highly anticipating. We have heard this song, but it is awesome. And, we're going to watch a little bit of it because maybe you might notice a couple of things in the beginning of the video if you haven't seen it already, which would be kind of funny with how we're doing it right now. So let's go ahead and check out. This is the Frost album is called Life in the Wires. It's a double concept album, super proggy, long songs on it, the whole thing. And the first track is Life in the Wires Part 1, which was, and the video was done by our good friend Christian Rios, which might sort of give you a hint as to maybe what comes in line with this video. But let's go ahead and check this out. This song is awesome, so it'll be a lot of fun.
Actually, my eyeball right there.
Right. This sound is so cool. Just the vibe of it. I love it. Anyway, we could listen to that whole song. It's just so awesome.
It's great.
The whole sound of it, the production, the keyboard sounds, the tempo. I love everything about it. It's great. And they don't sound like anyone else. It's so cool. I love it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm always trying to like say, that reminds me of this or that. They're one of the few bands. I don't want to like paint with too broad a brush. At least this song, there's nobody that's like exactly coming to mind. Like it kind of just sounds like Frost. And then I'm real keyed in on the drums. I love how so I'm a big Craig Blundell apologist, and I put him up for every like modern prog band. I'm like, you should have just had him drum, you know?
Should have just had him do it.
Because he just does such a tasteful job, and he sort of sounds like Gavin Harrison at times. He sort of sounds like, you know, maybe a Nick DiVirgilio or whatever, but like he does his own thing. I love how they keep his drums, especially in those breaks, sounding real big and kind of raw and not over processed. But you know, he's on sort of the highest possible level for drums for me. So that is just the bedrock of the whole thing. And you know, obviously, is that Jim singing that song, or
Yeah.
is that John? Okay, and his voice is just great. It's just great.
Well,
So,
Jam.
yeah, Jeremy, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, something about, I guess in Prague, a lot of it is often sort of atmospheric. It can be sort of moody with drumming. It can be intricate. It can be slow. You don't always get just fast paced, like ready to go. Like, you know, this could be in an 80s metal song, this kind of drumming. And something about that gives it a nice groove. And I like the tempo and I like the vibe that it creates, but also there's everything, the background harmonies, the chorus, the whole thing is great. The video is superb. Christian did a killer job on this.
Yeah.
And yes, we are featured in the opening montage. That's what we were talking about.
Doesn't hurt.
He snuck us in there, which was very
I'm
cool.
so glad I'm not wearing that same shirt. That would have been very embarrassing, but yeah, that's very cool. Thank you,
I did notice.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was super cool. So so that album comes out October 18th. I'm sure there'll be a few new singles and stuff like that, but super excited about this record. It's going to be a really good one.
Double album. What is on the cover? Is it like it's like a calculator or like a phone or something? What is that? Do you know what I'm talking about?
It's on the album cover?
Yeah.
It's an old transistor radio. So the whole concept is there's a main character who is living in some future time or whatever, and hears this voice coming through this old transistor radio, and then tries to go out and find this voice, and whatever ensues, you know.
Yeah, it sounds like a storyline from the show Lost. I don't know if you watched Lost, but
yes, actually, you're right. There was that little thing going on. Yeah, that's true. You're right.
Desmond. Anyway.
Desmond. I got to rewatch that show. I love that show.
Yeah.
All right. So, this just came out. Jon Anderson and the band Geeks. Counties and Countries is the song we're going to talk about. It's a single that just dropped. But the album is called True. It just came out on Frontiers Records. We've all had a chance to hear it by now since it has been released. And I think you'll agree it is a phenomenal, amazing album by Jon Anderson and the band Geeks, these musicians he got involved with. If you don't know the story, I don't know the complete story of how they got together, but they were like a cover band that had a podcast and started doing a bunch of covers, and then somehow they got involved with Jon and they started doing some touring as his backing band. They're on tour right now, I believe, and then got to writing material. A lot of it is some old demos that Jon had that he was working on and stuff like that, and then they wrote some new songs, I guess. But it's everything you would want from being a Yes fan. It sounds like Yes. It's incredible. It's really just fantastic, and he sounds great.
Yeah, agreed. Highest possible recommendation. It's very good. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, just don't sleep on it because it's not Yes or whatever. It's just a fun, really good record. I mean, is it close to the edge? No, but man, don't even do that to this record. It's just a great record. That's
it would remind you more of like 80s era. Yes. No, I mean, it has more maybe like late 70s, and I'm not a huge Yes fan. I mean, to be fair. But.
Yeah. No, it has some of the 70s in there. You know, it has a little bit of Fragile or Going for the One, you know, things in there mixed with some stuff from The Ladder. I've heard comparisons to The Ladder. I think, you know, in the review that Jeff did for us, I compared it to that a little bit, which is also pretty fair. Yeah. So, let's check this out a little bit. We'll see what we can squeeze in. This is a 10-minute song, so that's not bad. And there's also a 16-minute song, which is truly amazing.
That's great.
Also really good to check out.
I've seen county are calling me home. And I said I would deliver the promise of lifetimes, calling me home. For I received it on that day. The gift of love was here to stay. Asking for the love that could always deliver. Asking for the love yet to come.
Anyway, we can't really do too much of this song, but you get the idea. I mean,
Yeah.
the bass sound alone, it sounds like Chris Squire. It's
Gonna
crazy.
say, yeah, he looks like he's playing. I guess it's a Rickenbacker. I mean, it's got
Yeah.
that exact sound. Yeah, on the headphones in particular, the bass sounds awesome. I mean, it's great. It's honest to goodness. If you pulled this out and played it for somebody that was maybe like moderately familiar with Yes, they would think it was from 70s, 80s. I think like it.
Yes,
it
they would
feels like
think
that.
it's Yes.
And
It does, yeah.
his voice, I mean, I think that may be the biggest storyline here is that Jon Anderson turns 80 in October, and his voice, like honestly, like give him all the credit in the world, it sounds great. I mean, it may be on a song or two towards the end of the album, you kind of hear like a little bit of the feebleness or like a little bit of weakness of it, but he's always kind of
There's-
had that sort of voice, and so
There's moments when he doesn't have as much power
Yeah.
on sort of the high notes, but it's minimal.
not on
really.
this song. I
And-
don't hear it on this one.
Yeah, it's
just-
minimal and it doesn't bother you to it. You know, I think it's fine. And the amazing thing is the tone and everything hasn't changed, which is wild. Like it's been the
It's
same
insane.
over
Yeah.
50 years.
So like Paul McCartney, I'm a huge fan of his album New, which came out in 2013. And
Mhm.
that would put him at, probably 72, 71 when he recorded that. And his voice to me sounds great. But by the time that, what was it, Egypt Central, I think it was, that came out, or Egypt Station, it was kind of like,
Egypt Station.
it's like, and then now I've seen him in concert, last year or two, and you can tell his voice it's just not quite there. Jon Anderson's
Yeah.
arguably singing harder stuff, and his voice is still there. It's pretty wild. So
Yeah, it's pretty great. So we highly recommend that one. That is
Yeah.
true, and it is out now. Okay, so now we're going to shift completely to something
Ooh.
a bit more
little heavier.
dramatic.
yeah,
Opeth. The song is S1, and it's from the album The Last Will and Testament. Comes out on October 11th. And the big news about this album, at least this track, is that the death metal vocals are back, which everybody is very excited about.
well, maybe
this
not
is the only-
everybody, but most of their fans.
most real big hardcore
Opeth fans,
Opeth fans are very happy about. So yeah, I mean, this is absolutely just heavy as hell, and yeah, let's go ahead and dive into a section here and just check it out. It's crazy. You know what's wild? A couple of things. First of all, Michael Ackerfeld has, when he's singing, the most beautiful voice. The fact that he does both, like, so dramatically different is amazing to me. But of all the bands, there's something about the fanatical fan base of Opeth. I mean, we've done Wheel of Progs on every big band so far, and the one we did with Opeth is at over 105,000 views. The one we did on Rush is at like 25,000. Like, you know what I mean? It's
I don't
it's
get it.
pretty wild.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll give my opinion. I want to be careful since there's such a rabid fan base, but that does nothing for me. I do not like that. It's too dark. I don't like growling vocals. I don't understand it. I don't get it. I actually have really liked their last, few albums that are sort of in keeping with like kind of 70s throwback, kind of almost like towards sort of like lo-fi at times, prog. Like I
Yeah.
dig that. And so that's been the interesting thing for me as someone that I was not a fan of them. I mean, parts of it, I love some of the drumming on some of those like early 2000s albums, but like I've kind of enjoyed what they've been doing, and now they're going back to the stuff that everyone's like super excited about. I'm like, you know.
Well, at least from this song, I do get a little bit of like the last album, Sorcerer, or the one before, Sorceress,
Yeah, correct.
mixed now with the growl vocals. So I think they've tried to combine the two kind
Yeah.
of eras, if you want to call them, a little bit, which could make for something pretty interesting. I mean, I'm sort of with you. They're not my favorite band. It took me many, many years to get into them, and only kind of later on, starting with like Blackwater Park and then later Pale Communion, stuff like that, got me more into them because I kind of dig those records a lot. Um, but I have a good appreciation for it, and there is a time and a place to listen to this and enjoy it, I think.
Sure.
You
Yeah.
know?
Well, this is one man's opinion. I mean, people obviously
Yeah.
love this band. I always kind of liken that style of music to like horror films. It's not the same thing. Obviously, there's some kind of crossover of motif and style and theme, but I just don't care for horror films at all. I don't enjoy watching them. I mean, maybe like Friday the 13th back in the day or something, but like it's sort of like that. You either kind of like it or you don't. And if you like it, this is some of the best stuff.
Like
So,
I just did a long, many days of driving, like 10, 12 hours of driving
Mhm.
on this trip we just did. And like that, this kind of stuff doesn't work for me on a road trip.
yeah,
You
it's
know
like
what I
you're
mean? In
passing by
particular.
somebody. Hey, yeah, it's
It's
just
like it's way too intense for just like driving. That's when I'm way more gonna likely to listen to like Jon Anderson or something like
yeah.
that while I'm doing something like that.
So what
Anyway,
is best to do when you're listening? Is this like mowing lawn music? Is this like you know,
I don't know, like
working out?
working.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that definitely is a good time for it.
Okay.
But also like seeing it in concert, I think is what you
Yeah,
want
sure.
from this, right? I
Sure.
think that's what really is like. That's what you want to do it. All right, so last, we're gonna have some fun
I already
here
saw
with,
a sneak peek. I saw
yeah.
what it was. Yeah. In
All
keeping
right,
with
so we're gonna
singers who can
do.
sing anything,
That's right.
seriously.
So Devin Townsend, the great Devin Townsend, is back with
Powernerd.
a new album called Powernerd, and it comes out on, what do I have here, on October 25th. This is the title track. So he had 2 albums ago was Empath, which was sort of like this great manic schizophrenic prog record, a bunch of not crazy stuff on it. He followed that up with a more mellower, more kind of like accessible, kind of chill record with Light
Light work.
Worker, and then now he's back to doing, I think, what maybe more fans sort of really like him for, which is just sort of the craziness of Devin Townsend, just having fun and being goofy and wild, and this sort of gives that vibe. The video is hilarious. So let's go ahead and check this. I'm going to skip a little bit on this because so we can get a good part in. But yeah, the video is really funny, and I just think it's a fun song. But anyway, let's check it out. So I like seeing him play guitar and soloing because he doesn't always do that. He's kind of stopped doing that. That's a great place to pause.
I do. I was gonna say I do like when he's flying through the air like that. It's kind of ridiculous, and he's got like a metal cod piece on, so So
So
there you go.
I was listening to back to the long drive I did, and I think I've told this to you, but I like to listen to the Hair Nation channel a lot on Sirius XM when I'm doing long drives. I don't always listen to that music, but I just like it. I know every song and stuff I grew up on, and I get a very similar Hair Nation vibe from this song.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
I don't even think it's prog, to be honest. Some of the stuff he does, it gets labeled prog. I don't really think a lot of it is. He's more just like metal in a lot of cases. To
Yeah.
me, this sounds like just a straight fun metal song. Um, So for that, I just think it's catchy and fun. I dig it.
Yeah, so what I hear is, especially in the build up to the chorus, the really driving bass where the other stuff kind of drops out. It reminds me a little bit of Motorhead, kind of like Lemmy's, like
Yeah,
sort of
totally.
bass approach. And then I think overall, it kind of reminds me of like almost like Rammstein, however you want to say that, or like Nine Inch Nails, kind of in some ways, or as you sort of alluded to, like sort of 80s like radio metal. Like there's some of that kind of feel, but it's almost like he skirts this line between like serious music that's like technically really impressive in like comedy, and it's interesting, and I think that's either a big turn off or a big turn on for people. Like you look through the comments on his YouTube, people love this guy.
They love it.
Yeah,
Like
so
the comments are like, "We must protect Devin at all costs."
yeah,
Like things like praising, and it's like even if, um, like like I said, I do like this song, and I think the video's funny, and I think it's great. I wouldn't say it's the best thing he's ever done. Like, you know
well,
what I
no,
mean? But like it's but the fan base loves what he does, and he gets so much leeway to do
uh-huh.
one, from every album we listen to is different than the next one. We just did the album Key for Progus, which is the complete antithesis to this album, right? It's like a mellow, acoustic-y, weird, trippy album. He could do anything. And I think
Yeah.
that's the most impressive thing to me. It always has been about his stuff. Whether you like a certain song or an album or not, he's a risk taker, and that's very cool.
Yep. And I think that's actually an interesting conversation, is how many artists are there in any medium that are allowed that sort of leeway? And you can really count them on almost one hand. Like musically speaking, like it's hard to come up with too many artists that are like that really do something different every time and people let them get away with it. In Prog, he may be one of the only ones. I mean, even like Opeth, you talk about like they changed their sound and a lot of their fans are like, this sucks. It's like Devin
No,
changes his
people are
sound. Even
mad for every year. Yeah.
the album Key, to me, it starts out sort of like industrial Marilyn Manson, Nine Inch Nails, and then it ends up in this. There's a song that's just on an acoustic guitar, and like he's telling the guy he wants to take another take on it. It's like a very loose, almost like White Album type. I mean, it's eclectic for sure. So kudos to him
Yeah.
for that.
So so that's the ones for this month. I mean, and also you have the new album from Leprous comes out on August 30th. Melodies of Atonement, we've covered that as well.
Yep.
And soon I mean, we're getting towards the sort of end of the year where a bunch of crazy good stuff starts to come out. So I think September and October should be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Please let us know what you liked, what you thought we should cover, what you thought was bad. I don't know. Do you like this version of Devin? The Jon Anderson. I'm curious to hear what people think about the Jon Anderson album, how many people like it as much as we do or not. So
It's
um,
definitely. I mean, I would say like unless the year just dramatically changes, it'll be in my top 5. And I'm not a huge like Yes fan. I mean, I like Yes, but it's not a band that I'm like walking around championing or listening to. But the album is great. I mean, I just cannot get over the fact that he's made that at this age. And however he stumbled into this band, I was reading about it a little bit. Like they had a podcast. It came like that's crazy. That story
yeah.
is really impressive. It's a very very good album. So yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, cool. Thanks, guys. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on progport.com and all our socials. And, check out some of the other videos. We'll see you again soon.
Yep.
Hey, thanks for checking out the podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on all our socials and progport.com. And we'll see you all again real soon. Thanks.